Welcome back, you guys, and the NBA playoffs is a moment in basketball where you can solidify yourself in history. There have been countless moments since the beginning of the league where a player has done something in the playoffs that has strengthened their position among the greats. James Harden has solidified himself in NBA history as a three-time All-NBA first-team member and soon-to-be MVP winner. At the age of 28, Harden still has more to do, and there's something he needs to fix in the playoffs that can help build onto his already impressive NBA resume. This is not a hate video at all. I'd appreciate it if you listen to the whole video and hear the points made. Let me know if you agree or disagree. As a fan of Harden, let's talk about his biggest current problem and what he needs to do to fix it. Before we get into the conference finals versus Golden State, I want to briefly talk about how the issue that is plaguing James Harden came up. If you remember from the 2017 playoffs versus the Spurs, James Harden only scored 10 points, shot the ball only 11 times, turned the ball over 6 times, and fouled out in the final game of the series. The Rockets lost by 39 points and Kawhi Leonard wasn't even playing. Harden was so bad in that game that an anonymous league executive said that has an NBA player ever been investigated for point shaving? It looked like he was drained from dribbling the ball so much in that series and he was running on fumes. Harden was statistically dominant in that 2017 regular season. In 81 games played, he averaged 29 points and 11 assists and became one of the handful of players ever to average 25 points and 10 assists. But because of how bad that playoff loss was, it somewhat overshadowed his regular season dominance. Moving on to 2018, and in my opinion, I think that Harden was disappointed he was the MVP runner-up for his second year and came out guns blazing this season to make sure he was the MVP frontrunner. He had better raw stats than Curry in 2015, but the Rockets had a worse record. In 2017, the Rockets had a better record than OKC, but Westbrook had the triple-double average, so he was on the losing end of both scenarios. Harden had some incredible individual stats this year and pushed the Rockets to have the league's best record. It was a historic year for him, but what everyone is waiting for now is a finals berth, and can he do it against the Warriors or whatever great team he has to face in the West? They came close, but Harden and the Rockets weren't able to get to the finals. They lost Game 7 to the Golden State Warriors, and there might have been a different outcome if CP3 was in there, but they had a chance. Without their star point guard, the Warriors were betting on Harden's issue of wearing down over a series, and it worked out. Kevin Durant said this to the media after the Game 7 win. "We knew at some point they'd tire out. James dribbled so much each possession. I know at some point he'll wear down, and we were going at him on the defensive end of the ball as well." In that Game 7, if you remember, Steve Kerr used Livingston to defend Harden at half court in the second half so he could tire him out. After Game 7, Kerr spoke to the media and said that he knew how tired Harden was over the course of the last few games. He was saying that it's very exhausting to run so many pick and rolls. Eventually you're going to commit a mistake, whether that's a lazy turnover, losing control of your dribble, or forcing up a bad shot. Over the course of a 7 to 8 month season, what Harden is doing on offense is very difficult to maintain. The amount of work he does to score is very tiring over the course of a season. The amount of dribbles he takes to get past longer defenders, and the step back threes he takes put so much pressure on his legs, and by the time April and May comes around, he fatigues. That step back three that made him near unguardable in the regular season wasn't there for him in the postseason. Sometimes he wasn't able to get the separation, and other times if he did get the separation, it just wasn't falling, and his three-point percentage dipped from what it was in the regular season. If you check Harden's stats after Game 1 of a playoff series from the past 2 seasons, you can see his numbers take a major hit. His field goal percentage goes from 51% in Game 1s to 38% in the rest of the series. His three-point percentage goes from 48 in Game 1s to 25 in other games, and his turnovers jump also. Now obviously there's a bigger sample size for the non-Game 1s, but this is a common theme that Harden has been criticized for. He wears down over a series and his production drops. In Games 2 through 7 versus Golden State, Harden had 35 assists and 30 turnovers, which is almost a 1-to-1 turnover ratio. If you are using up a lot of your team's possessions and almost turning the ball over as much as you dish out an assist, that's a problem. You're going to lose focus and get heavy legs when you're tired playing basketball, but Harden needs to find a better way to manage his energy. What Harden needs to do in the regular season going forward is to do what LeBron has done in the past 3 years and what the Warriors did this year. Harden needs to do some coasting during the regular season and try to save his energy for April and May. We've seen LeBron take nights off in the regular season, and he's even come out and said that game ones are feel-out games for him. He knows how to manage his energy. The Warriors dealt with injuries this year, but for basically half of the season, they were coasting on defense as a team, and it cost them some games. Harden needs to do a bit of that next year. 82 games is a lot, and for someone who has the ball as much as he does, he needs the rest. I'm assuming Harden is finally going to get his MVP after coming in second in 2015 and 2017, so he's solidified in NBA history. He doesn't have to prove himself in the regular season anymore. He's a superstar. I don't think he choked or anything in the playoffs this year. He just ran out of gas. 2017's collapse versus the Spurs was bad, but this year was nothing like that at all. It looked like a guy who competed but wore down at the end. I'm gonna appreciate the regular season play he gave us as fans after he retires, but I'll appreciate it even more if he's able to do this to get Houston to the finals. Going into 2019, Harden needs to be in even better shape than he was this year and find games in the regular season to coast and rest. The last thing I want to touch on is the players surrounding Harden. It's going to be a big offseason for them with CP3 and Capella's free agency. For this video's purpose, I will assume LeBron doesn't sign there and they mostly keep the same team. Assuming they re-sign all these guys, Houston is going to be relying on a lot of older players playing major minutes. Trevor Ariza is going to be 33 next year, CP3 is 33, PJ Tucker is 33, Gerald Green is going to be 33 next season. Those are all major contributors to the team, and they're going to be able to push towards a conference finals again in 2019 if they re-sign, but I think Houston needs to find a way to get some youth on the perimeter surrounding Harden. Eric Gordon is 29, but next year I believe will be his 10th season in the NBA, so he has a lot of miles on him. Houston also needs to find a somewhat reliable backup point guard so CB3 doesn't have more wear and tear on him by the time it's May 2019. I'm not qualified to be a GM, but I do believe Houston needs to surround Harden with some youth on the perimeter. And that is the problem that James Harden has in the playoffs. He wears down at the end of the season, and his best offensive skills that he uses to dominate in the regular season and in playoff game ones falls off. If he gets in even better shape and finds regular season nights to coast, I think he'll be better prepared in May 2019. He's got to be just as dominant as he is in game ones over a playoff series so he can push the Rockets to the finals. He's more than capable of doing it. Appreciate it if you're still here. I hope it was interesting to listen to. Do you guys agree with my take, or is there something else Harden needs to work on? Definitely leave a like as it helps my channel grow, and I'll see you guys soon.